Yes, hello. I am James Rowlands, and today it's the WNR521, 521. It's AEW Double or Nothing 2024, and I'm not alone. I have the pleasure to be joined by the entire WNR team. Up first by my side for every WWE and AEW show is a fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. How's it going, Jaxie?
Hello, hello. Very excited for another Double or Nothing podcast. This is our fourth one now, fourth AEW Double or Nothing. Let go.
Yeah, we're out of doubt. And again, not starting, but last week you said you were more confident about this than you were WWE, so we're in your wheelhouse. So if you fail today, it's on you.
Not much pressure then there, really, is there?
Not at all. Up next, our resident NXT expert and New Japan demigod, it is Monty. How's it going, man?
It's going great. It's going great. Until you just mentioned that it was like the fourth one. It's kind of amazing that we're all kind of growing with AEW. Because just the years are flying by when it comes to how long they've been around, man. But yeah, it's awesome. I'm always happy to be here on the show. I'm the opposite of her. I'm never confident in my AEW prediction. So if I lose, who cares?
Yeah, you don't care. You got Battleground on. So, you can just be like, look, we'll do it next weekend. It's fine,
Right.
Well, last but by no means least, they say we're young and we don't know. We won't find out until we grow. Well, I don't know if all that's true because you got me and baby, I got you, babe. I got you, babe. I got you, babe. I got you, babe. Gina, the share to my Sonny. Yeah. How's it going?
Hello, yo. It's all good. I'm looking forward to this next Double or Nothing. And like Monty said, it's nice to see like that we've grown along with alongside the company. So it's really nice to see kind of like where we came from, like from Double or Nothing 1 to now we're on Double or Nothing 4.
Can I just say, I got you, babe. There is a reason that I did it for. I'm not going crazy. I realise it was last week. But I just have to explain to anybody who might not know. Of course, it was using Groundhog Day. So I thought it'd be hilarious to use it again this time round. And absolutely nothing. So, yeah, it's all about AEW today. So let's just move on and get on with it. It's fine.
Epic fail. I just thought you liked the song.
Hey, it's a good joke in my mind. Sometimes it doesn't come across.
Gina was trying to be modest.
I know,
loser.
Straight into the subject. She's like, you fucking did this last week, you idiot.
I was trying to spare your feelings.
I mean, you said it, not me.
And I obviously just zone out whenever you start trying to sing now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, enough about me. Let's go on to AEW.
Monty was just jealous because he doesn't get his own songs.
Yeah, exactly. Fuck you, Monty. Yeah, Team Gina. Come on. Anyway, AEW notes. Rather, because we do watch Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision, and it's weird. I used to make tons and tons of notes, and I can literally, in about maybe 50 words, sum up what's happened. So we're going to do this right now. First up, Christian will face Swerve. Jaxie, I'll ask you this. Is Christian, or was Christian, the right opponent to face Swerve, coming out of Swerve's big title win?
I mean, I'm not mad at it. I feel like, Christian is one of those people that, can be given any type of storyline and just run with it and actually make people sort of like pay attention to it. So as much as I, personally felt confident of Swerve going into this match, I also do feel like he was a good contender to sort of like push certain buttons when it came to Swerve. You got to think like, a few years back, Swerve was sort of a heelish character that liked to get sort of into the minds of his opponents. And Christian is exactly the same. So to have someone like Christian who could maybe play mind games, get under the skin of Swerve, I think it was a good way to really test the new champion and see how well he could cope.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, we see Kenny Omega was attacked by the Elite. and we saw a lot of elite shenanigans. And Monty, again, I can still remember watching VHSs of the NWO kind of doing stuff like this. What are your thoughts on the elite now, of course, with Jack Perry and Okada around what they do with all the shenanigans, basically?
Yeah, all together, like you mentioned, it's kind of funny when you mention the NWO or even some Bullet Club things at times they kind of leaning into just anarchy, but definitely more closer related to the NWO with like the power and the hostile takeover kind of vibe they give. But I like it. It's upgraded. It's a little bit, like you said, shenanigans is a perfect way to describe it because it's just so much randomness, but it's great. And I love that. My favorite thing about it is not only does it seem like Jack Perry is gaining a lot from it. Like I know the Bucks can be douchebags. They've always been great at that. They've always been pretty good at leaning into what people think of them online and just taking it to the next level. And I think that's basically what they did. But for people, new fans, I think what I like seeing, I love the every week getting tweets or we just seeing reposts of just how many people didn't know Okada had this in him. And it's just like, yeah, us New Japan fans always knew he turned into that. A lot of people was introduced to him as this final boss, as just being the guy of chaos. But he always had that arrogant, that cockiness and that power behind what his character work. And I just love that he seemed to be shining in a row. Anyone who thought that he wouldn't be able to resonate or wouldn't be able to emote or do certain things in America, I love the fact that they've been able to focus and just make him the star of it in many ways. But also, like I said, Jack Perry has also been someone who, in my opinion, has improved. Just think about the way people felt about him speaking just a year ago or a couple years ago before all the mess and everything. And people could care less. And I just think now with this element and being in the elite and everything that they have going, it's made him 10 times more interesting. So from that point of view, I love it. For me, I don't necessarily know if everything they do is anything for me personally. Like I could care less about a lot of it, but I understand it and I get a kick out of it every week, so I can't be mad at it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, without doubt. We see Willow and Sky Blue had an absolute banger, and then Orange Cassidy beat Trent. I guess that feud is over, like the career of Chucky T, Chuck Taylor. Now, Gino, I'll ask you this, because I know you've not been a huge fan of Orange Cassidy, but what have you thought about him on this way to pay-per-view with kind of losing everything, All his friends have gone, and even the career of Chuck Taylor announced in the most kind of weird way possible, where like, is that serious or not? I'm not sure.
What serious? Chuck Taylor's injury?
Yeah, the way they just kind of went, yeah, Chuck Taylor's career's over, and then just kind of moved on the promo.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, part of me, when I watched that match, I kind of felt like in a scenario in my head, I saw Chuck talking to doctors and they were like, look, maybe one more match. You couldn't do one more match, but if you truly value your life, you wouldn't wrestle anymore. So he's like, let me do one more banger of a match with my best mate. And I'll go out like that, and then they can announce that like my best mate hurt me so much it's just ended my career,
That's good.
That's kind of like the scenario I've seen in my mind. I think he always knew he was going to have to fully give up wrestling, so he was like, nah, let me just chuck one more match in there to make it a story, and maybe that can then also start the transition of Trent's new character. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not mad at it, but I also there is I feel mean saying this, but there is that stigma of when the show is being put on Rampage. For me, that should have been something that could have probably been a main event for a Dynamite, just to give it that higher elevation, seeing as Dynamite is their main show. So in some ways, whenever I do tune in to a Rampage, I'm like, oh wait, yeah, okay, yeah, they were having this feud, because we don't hear much about it. About things that happen on Rampage on the main show. You just get kind of like little in-betweens. So yeah, I mean, I enjoyed it, but it's also one of those things that you feel kind of sad for Chuck if that truly is his career done.
But I think you just made a perfect point. We're saying like Collision and Rampage really aren't worth watching. Like the major developments happen on Dynamite, and if they do happen elsewhere, you will get like a 30-second clip telling you what happened on Dynamite. So that's something that might have to look at. We see Adam Copeland beating Buddy, and then Brody, and then covered black with blood. I mean, Jaxie Copeland, and we're going to get onto this a little bit more, not really putting over that much younger talent. But, I mean, what do you think about this, the Brood gimmick coming into the pay-per-view?
Yeah, we'll touch a bit on this more. So I'll only keep this short and simple, this response. But this is exactly the point I am going to touch more on when we get to his match about, I'm all up for seeing Adam Copeland versus all this new upcoming young talent from AEW. But there's a major difference of what Bryan Danielson is doing compared to what Adam Copeland is doing. And the one question I have is he really putting over young talent? So we'll leave it there for the moment, but come back to me on this when we get to the match, because I think we could dive deeper into this conversation.
Yeah, one of the things I really enjoyed on Dynamite was Swerve's backup turning on him. He got revenge on the Mogul Embassy, and my God, Monty.
Very Shield moment.
Yeah, very Shield. You're right about that, Jaxie. But again, I quite like, Gates of Agony, but Swerve just made mincemeat of Monty.
Yeah, that's the thing about them. I think we both can see the potential. I mean, Khan and I can't think of the other one's name. That's probably the problem right there. Yeah. But again, if you look at both of those guys, you look at how they present themselves, the way they wrestle. There's no way, even though he is the AEW World Champion, like I get it. I'm not trying to say they're supposed to beat him or whatever, but these are like, intimidating figures that you would want to at least put them over in some type of way as a threat. And like you said, for them to just kind of get through away, it's just one of those things that happen a lot of times in AEW. Again, it's like I always say, as much as you may love your favorite wrestler, when it's someone else's turn to be the focus, a lot of times they get through to the side, even if we know a lot of guys on this roster deserve a little bit better. And that's the thing when you have a loaded roster. So guys like this that you see potential, they can be homemade or whatever talent that can be big for them, kind of just getting through away. Like at the end of the day, you could at least give them something, if you know what I mean. Like just like at least make them look and like a threat, not just afterthoughts. Because now moving on, now it's like, all right, how do I take these two guys seriously? Even though it is the AEW World Champion, like I get it, he is the guy, but it's like, man, those two, they look like monsters. Like that's what I'm saying. When you look like them and you get through away like that, it really hurts because of how they present themselves. They look like threats, but then they get treated like it's nothing. So now it's like, how do I take you seriously going forward?
But as you mentioned, though, such a loaded roster as well. And one thing I noticed, and Gina, I don't know if you've noticed this as well, but Kyle O'Reilly lost to Cope Open, and kind of every match he's been in since. And there's no doubt he's a great talent. But again, is this the problem with AEW just being so loaded where, he's one of the best wrestlers in the world, but maybe lacking personality a little bit?
Yeah, this is a conversation that me and Jax have had for several weeks. Every time we see a match with Kyle O'Reilly involved, we're just like, his comeback has probably been one of the biggest deflated comebacks ever. Like, oh yeah, I'll just slip back into the ranks and just job out to pretty much everybody else that's been on the roster much longer than I have, sort of thing. And don't get me wrong, I'm not expecting him to be winning matches, but I think they totally rushed his breakup with Roderick Strong. I think, because they have such a stacked roster, he would have benefited from staying with the United Kingdom at this point, because his storylines would have been much more relevant. Whereas right now, he did the storyline where he wanted to break away from Roderick Strong and the United Kingdom. He did, but he lost. And ever since then, he's kind of continued on that losing streak. And to be honest, when he does come out, I'm not excited. Not because I don't enjoy him as a wrestler, but I'm just like, well, he's not in any storylines really. So this match is kind of an irrelevant match that they've just decided to chuck together to remind us they still got him. That's how I see it.
Yeah,
No, I think-
remember, sis, we actually said that like it feels more like Kyle is a puppet in everyone else's story. And I just remember actually thinking to myself, he might have benefited from being held off a bit longer, making his appearance or his comeback until after Adam Cole had come back and just like made his sort of debut, looking like he can take moves again and things. And considering MJF's return, I feel like Kyle O'Reilly, if he wanted to keep sort of the United Kingdom looking strong, you could have actually had like MJF looking like he's going to be able to take on Adam Cole and that, and then have Kyle O'Reilly come back, joining the United Kingdom and actually being like a beast within their ranks, or especially because they've been teasing also to do with like Adam Cole turning on Wardlow. They could have actually had then Kyle O'Reilly making a comeback and actually taking out Wardlow with the United Kingdom, something like that, just to keep him more relevant. But as my sister said, I think there's been less relevancy since his return.
Yeah. And one of the questions I've got for everybody really, about Chris Jericho, I know we have to talk about him and the learning tree, that's kind of sorted. Have Jericho and the Young Bucks got the same gimmick? In a way where the way they talk to people, the way they are. I mean, am I just going crazy? Monty, am I just getting old age here? Or is it kind of just this abrasive, you're doing the best thing for the company?
Yeah, it's very similar. It's very breaking fourth wall, too. It's very similar. Even with the TV time, you're calling it that. It's like we're acknowledging that Jericho is in Tony Khan's ear or is one of the guys. The only difference is that I don't remember. Maybe Jericho is an EVP, and I just maybe he took Cody's spot or something. But yeah, that's the difference. The main difference is that they're not talking about what Jericho's actual position is, but you're right. You're 100% right. They have a lot of similarities in the overall tone of the gimmick, and I think but again, I think the Bucks shine, and the Elite's version is way more hits home way more people because not only do they have the figurehead positions, but it's literally they're the Elite. It's all elite wrestling. Like we know what the Bucks mean to the origin of AEW. Now you can make the same case for Jericho and like how important he was at the beginning of AEW, but he was never, at least to my knowledge, openly exposed as someone with actual power in a sense. But I think we all know it. Jericho's in Tony Khan's ear. I think that's what they're leaning into. They're both leaning into the backstage stroke, whether it's all rumors or whatever it is. They're leaning into that, and I think that's why it's coming off so similar.
And finally, Darby Allin has a flamethrower. I mean, this was unbelievable. I mean, Gina, what did you think? I mean, it's quite funny because a couple of guys saw this who don't watch wrestling and were just like, what the fuck? And I was like, hey, it's Darby Allin. This is kind of not even the weirdest thing he's done.
I'm not going to lie. I did laugh a lot seeing Darby Allin with that flamethrower, only because it's all for dramatic effect, and that literally is it. It's to make everyone go, oh, shit, or something like that. But he is literally not going to be exactly setting the whole stadium on fire. Yes, he ended up sort of using it on Jack Perry, but it was clear he had, heat-resistant bottoms on or something. Yeah. And you saw the staff go running over to Jack Perry straight away. So again, I get it, but like part of me is like, I get it. You wanted to use it for dramatic effect, but I also kind of feel like, did it just make it more of a messy effect rather than a dramatic effect? So yeah, I did laugh a lot.
Exactly. If you're not going to cane them, then what's the point? that's what we expect. God damn it. But yeah, that was basically Dynamite leading up to Double or Nothing. So now we get the buy-in May 26th. RJ and Renee host the festivities. Easy me to say. Double J joins them for colour, I guess. And Daddy Magic joins Excalibur and Tony S on commentary as Deanna Pratt-So and Thunder Rosa kick things off. Both women showed up in special gear. The Mera was channeling Elvis Presley with her look. And these two are the best technical wrestlers in the women's division. So this bout had a lot of great exchanges. Some of Pratt-So's attacks looked especially stiff, but Rose is a pro and sold it all perfectly. Virtuoso was able to get the win with a pinning combination with some help from the ropes. Jaxie, what are your thoughts on this?
Sorry, I'm on mute. This is the acclaimed match, you said.
No, Rosa Perazzo.
Oh, I mean, again, I feel like this was a good showcase between both women. I also just kind of feel like uh, I didn't really get the purpose of this match being on there. I don't know whether or not this was something that was um uh it just kind of felt like it was like purposely just put on there so that like they've got an additional match, not because of like the match needed to be on there. So when it came to sort of like how invested you were in the match, like storyline wise, I don't think that you were that much, but I do think that Rosa and Perazzo work really well together. I'd like to actually see like a longer feud be played out between them and then be given more time, because both female wrestlers are very talented and can do much more.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, Monty, there was a little bit of story into it about obviously them teaming up and not being happy with the other one. But again, both are fantastic what they do, so it's just enjoyable to see them on show.
Yeah, it was a solid technical wrestling match. Like I said, I think Thunder Rosa is pretty much getting back into that form that she was in pre injury and everything she had going on. And Deanna, we all know, consistent, very, very stable. And I thought it was cool. I was pleasantly surprised, honestly, they let Deanna win it. Just because of again where I kind of visualize Thunder Rosa, but it makes sense. You got to get other people over. You sometimes you got to have to lose. Plus, it wasn't like it was a definitive type of deal. So it was cool. It was, I'm hoping for more for both women, just whether it has anything to do with each other, just in general. But the way AEW women's division works and the way booking kind of goes, I'm never holding my breath that I'm gonna get everything I want out of of a particular type of angle, especially when you can respect both women. So you just kind of gotta take what you can get, solid, good stuff, and it was on the buy-in. Again, I'm always hoping for more spotlight for the lady. So it's whatever. I'm just like kind of like I knew the bill, but like to see it on the buy-in, to see it here is always kind of like you hope for more of a spotlight, just from my point of view. But I'm not mad at this at all. This was good stuff. You can't really ask for more when you know who you're dealing with. If you know what I mean.
Yeah, without a doubt. And Gina, like we said, talk about great talents, and the crowd were into it as well. Those were there, so again, gives us hope with a kind of, like I said, more story that these women will get over because of how good they are anyway.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Thunder Rosa is definitely a crowd favorite, and she does know how to hype up a crowd wherever she is. So they were super hyped for her. And to be honest, those who are fans of Perazzo from her work in other promotions, they were definitely still there backing her up too. So it was still good in terms of like seeing them go one-on-one against each other, and they kept the crowd like awake, and like, it was a good kind of first match to kick off this next promotion. But I also do feel like if they invested a little bit more time on the other shows, not just Rampage or the odd collision here or there with this story, then maybe it would have made it that much more anticipated, even just on the buy-in.
Yeah, without a doubt. Right, so scores then to start us off. Jaxie, we're going to give this match.
I mean, this was a good match. I'll give it a 3 1/4.
Monty?
Yeah, 3.5 where I see.
Gina?
Yeah, I got 3.5 too.
And I give it 3 3/4. Really, really liked it. Predictions. We're doing our prediction league, of course, in full swing. 2024 before Double or Nothing and after King of the Ring. Bonus league. Monty on 18, Gina and James on 13, Jaxie on 8. WWE league. Monty, James on 3, Gina on 2, Jaxie on 1. And today's what we're going to focus on. AEW. James, Gina, Jaxie all on 1, Monty on 0. And we start off with the boys going for Rosa. The girls went Deonna. So the girls are 1-0 up. We then get Tony Kay and Martha Hart announce the winners of the Owen Hart Cup will face the world champions at All In. It's nice to see original ideas. The second buy-in match featured Max Caster, Anthony Bowens, and Daddy Arse taking on Khan, Toa Leona, and Brian Cage. We heard from the Acclaim before this match. The match had a lot of crowd interaction and taunting, so the fans were very vocal. We incorporated a lot of double and triple team moves, especially Cage and Gates of Agony. The Machine tried to use a steel chair, but the Las Vegas Golden Knights mascot stopped him, allowing Billy Gunn to get the win. Monty, I mean, comedy kills you sometimes, man, and I feel bad for it.
Oh no! Don't say sometimes. You know, a lot. It's been oftentimes I give a take, and then they book the match to just flirt with my idea that, you know what, we're gonna do it your way this time, and then, like you said, comedy or whatever you want to call it. You may have thought this was laughable. This was not funny to me. No, I'm just playing. No, it was cool. I don't like. Yeah, I like the match. They had, like you said, a lot of maneuvers. Again, this is my point with the Gates of Agony. You watch this match, you can see the potential, man. You can see that they have something that you can lean on if you really want to make a heel badass team out of them. But I just obviously that's not what they want. They just want to use them as big guys, big intimidating guys that put up a fight but lose, to the more popular team. And hey, it is what it is. Sometimes you have to get over it, even though I don't necessarily think they've had too much of a chance, to be honest. That's why when they kind of turned on Swerve, I understood it. I was hoping that meant they were going to start beating some guys up. But, here we are. And then with Brian Cage, another guy who's just he signed this big deal back, and I feel like he's just going to be I think it's like 5 years or whatever he said his new deal is. 5 years from now, I would be surprised if Brian Cage is not doing the exact same thing he's been doing the entire AEW run. He's another big, intimidating guy who can put on a good match, but just upward mobility for Brian Cage. I think all of us probably can see that will be going. I would seriously doubt if he was much further than he's been. But we'll see. But obviously, I'm more angry about this. But I picked against the Acclaim from my own POV. I picked against them because I'm tired of the Acclaim. This was as good. This is fine. I have no problem with it. But you all know at this point they have a Billy Gunn trios match formula. This kind of fell in line with that. Besides the interference, so I didn't have a problem with the match. I'm not gonna bag on them too long, but I'm tired of the Acclaim, and hopefully we get something fresh coming sooner than later.
Yeah.
From my point of view.
We're gonna get that. I just imagine you watching it and then seeing that kind of big fluffy head of you.
Come on, man!
Like
right?
Fuck, man?
like come
it's
on,
not
man!
The Green Bay Packers. It's the fucking. It's a big. Oh god, that's funny shit. But you make two excellent points, and Gina. One of them is Billy Gunn just made all three his bitches, and at 60 years old. We just talked about something like Carlo, right? Should Billy Gunn really be doing this? I mean, it's great he is.
Come on, man.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I've always been a fan of him, and for any who don't know him from his previous work sort of within the WWE, like I know that he's just warmed everybody, everyone's always still chanting daddy ass and things like that. So it's definitely something that he has built, and he is able to keep building on, and keep the rapport with his fans on just keeping them on his side. But I kind of agree with Monty. It's a bit sad. Gates of Agony, they look the package of some big scary brutes that should be pretty much dominating the whole tag team. And in a way, it's like this match, because of their given history run in AEW, I went into this match quite positive on who was going to be the winners of this. And it's sad because, like I said, Gates of Agony have that look that they could be very dominant over the whole tag team. It's just a shame. Brian Cage definitely is still going to be doing the same exact thing in probably 20 years' time.
Whoa, man.
And the other thing as well, Jaxie, I'll ask you this as well. The Acclaimed have bounced around so much. What is needed to be done to kind of... At one point, they were kind of like real cutting edge, and now it's just the same old shtick, it seems.
Yeah, it's weird because they're much loved, and it feels weird to say this, but they kind of need to go away for a little bit to be missed, I think, because if it, it's really hard to change up a structure or a sort of like ongoing character such as the Acclaimed when you're beloved by the fans, but it can get a little bit stale. And I think that's where we're at this point. They were carrying the trios tag division for so long, and now that they're no longer the champions, that there's really not much more to do with them apart from continuously have them be put over on the buy-in shows. Like, for me, it doesn't really feel like you're gonna have a buy-in show unless you've got the Acclaimed in a trios match, and it is so that we get the Max Caster rap at the beginning. We can all laugh at whatever he's been allowed to say this time round, but also just kind of to see Daddy Ass and to see the sort of usual setup of sort of trios moves and things that they could do. Not saying that they can't change things up in the ring when they wrestle, because we all know that they're good at their craft. But I think right now there's a staleness coming from the characters of Daddy Ass and the Acclaimed, and that doesn't mean that things need to change up, as in like the Acclaimed need to turn on Daddy Ass or Daddy Ass need to turn on the Acclaimed. But I think they just need to be missed for a while, maybe just take some time off for people to actually miss that sort of content, or change up the characters somehow. It is one way or the other, but it is getting beyond a point where, like, Monty was saying about, he's kind of tired of like seeing the same thing with the Acclaimed, and that is sort of them just kind of overall picking up these wins over potential new upcoming talent. And as you guys have rightly said, I felt like if Gates of Agony were going to go ahead and do a Shield to Swerve, they literally have like hit rock bottom, because they went and got their ass kicked by the AEW World Champion, and that was like 3-on-1, and then you literally have gotten your ass kicked by the Acclaimed now. So what more can the Gates of Agony do right now apart from be that jobber trio set that will just always job out to other main trio groups like Death Triangle and House of Black, and the Acclaimed Gun Club. So yeah, right now I just don't know what direction the Gates of Agony can go in at this point, but it felt a bit deflating for them, because I don't know which way is up for them, especially if they're losing against the Acclaimed.
Well, anyway, we get scores out of 5. So Monty, what would you score this out of 5?
Oh, the wrestling was fine. 3.25 is where I see it.
Gina?
Yeah, I think 3.25 is fair.
And Jaxie?
Same, 3.25.
Yeah, I'm going to go 3.25 as well. Predictions: Monty went Gates. Monty's biggest enemy, comedy. Rest went Acclaim. So Monty on 0, James on 1, Girls are on 2. Start the main show proper with Roderick Strong versus Will Ospreay for the international title. Ospreay got a huge pop as he came out to kick off the main pay-per-view. Of course, the champ came out with Matt Taven and Mike Bennett. Wardlow was nowhere to be seen. The aerial assassin didn't wait and went after Strong while he was posing in the ring, so the ref called for the bell. The fight spilled out the ring almost immediately as both men were thrown left and right. The Kingdom interfered and hit a double team move on Ospreay that almost ended in disaster when he landed on his head. The ref checked him, but he said he'd continue. I mean, why risk it? We'll talk about it in a minute, but what the fuck? As the Kingdom tried to distract the ref, Wardlow showed up to interfere, but the ref saw him, made him leave the ring before he could hit a powerbomb. Ospreay took out the entire Undisputed Kingdom with a corkscrew from the top rope before going after the champ. Strong began selling a neck injury and Ospreay looked concerned, but Callis fired him up. Tom used the Tiger Driver. He retired. Strong managed to counter at the last second to avoid the impact. The aerial assassin ended up getting a win anyway after hitting a picture-perfect Stormbreaker. Gina, what were your thoughts on this?
Sorry, which match was this?
Ospreay Strong.
Oh my god. Yeah, no, do you know what? This match was really good, and I'm not gonna lie, it's not that I don't like Roderick Strong. I do. I just didn't think that maybe like he was on the caliber to keep up with someone like Will Ospreay. So I was quite intrigued on how this match was going to go. And I was pleasantly surprised, Roderick Strong, I will give it to him. He did surprise me in the fact that he was able to like kind of keep up with him a bit. Obviously, far be it with a bit of help. But it still put on quite an really entertaining match for me. And even though I kind of like, I had a feeling what was going to happen for the outcome, I still was quite pleasantly anticipating it rather than going into it thinking, I already know what's going to happen here, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, I will say Roderick surprised me a little bit with the way that I view him as a wrestler during this match.
Jaxie, we will say, talk about Strong in a second, but with Ospreay, are you surprised that he's connected this big with the AEW crowd? Because he is at the moment kind of, I would say, like the hottest guy in AEW.
You know what it is? I think it's the fact that he's relatable. He's really down to earth. He's someone that, like, you can just tell is really fully himself when it comes to like what he's portraying, especially with his game talk. His mic talk is just on point, and he can relate to so many different wrestling fans that it's just put him over so quickly. And yeah, I think the caliber of the match itself, like the talent that Will Ospreay shows in the ring, just backs up the way that he can talk on the mic. So altogether, he really is right now being showcased as a perfect package. And this match was great to open Double or Nothing with. It really lit a fire under the crowd. I think throughout the whole of the match, they were getting louder and louder as the match went on. And that was exciting to see that, that both Roderick and Will could actually already catch like this is awesome chance towards the end of the match,
Yeah, without a doubt. And Monty, as we're saying as well, I mean, credit to Strong, probably the most consistent guy of the kind of United, whatever they call it now, United Undisputed era. Even since that point, he's probably been the most consistent.
Yeah, man. I mean, he's the least injured if you're going off since those days, and he's just all like you said. He's just one of my favorites. Always been, even in the RH days, but pre WWE, I always knew what the Black Backbreaker Messiah, as they used to call him, or they probably still call him that. I've always been a fan of his style and what he could do. Roger Strong is just one of. If you put him in the ring, he's top notch, and I even think that going to AEW in some ways and the stuff he does with Adam has improved his character work. Because in WWE, I think that was pretty much the biggest thing that kind of held him back. Is that I don't think people were that interested in him, just from a promo type of style. But in AEW, you can shine with just your work, and I think that's the beauty of AEW. They're giving wrestlers that place, and I think that's going back kind of like to what you just said about Ospreay and why he's gotten over. I mean, he's gotten over because wrestling is he's a fellow fan, and nothing is more important than him than the wrestling. And I think at the end of the day, whether you're a big fan of AEW or whatever, or you think that they're the best thing in the world, or you don't think they're the best thing in the world, I think we all can see that at the end of if you can really get over with that fan base. Like you said, you can get your point across on the mic, and if you are really, really, you can relate to the wrestling fans by not only being good at wrestling, but by kind of letting that shown through in your character work. And I think that's what Will Ospreay has done. And I think Roger Strong is another person who just, at the end of the day, I think that might be my biggest criticism of this match. Even though I loved it, I thought it was really good, top-notch work. It would have been even better if they were just allowed to go out there and just cook. But I understand with Roger Strong's background and what he's doing right now with the United Kingdom, that there's no way that they were going to let them not have any type of say in this match, because you almost will forget that they even exist if you just compare the TV time that they get now compared to what all of that work they did with MJF and all that stuff. It's crazy when you think about it, but good stuff though. This is really a good way to start it off. Two guys that I respect, and I think that they really did a good job. And the kind of unfortunate thing is that I don't think anybody in their right mind thought Ospreay was going to lose, despite all of that, all of the help that we knew Roger would have. That's just how much of a juggernaut Ospreay is.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. So out of 5, Len, Gina, what would you score this?
Do you know what? Because I said I was pleasantly surprised, I'm going to give it 4 1/4.
Jaxie?
Yeah, I like this. I'll give it a 4.
Monty?
Yeah, I think I'll give it a 4.25. It was really good wrestling.
Yeah, I'll give it 4.5. Great opener. Predictions who went Will. So Jaxie Jr. on 3, James on 2, Monty on 1. And then Adam Cole made a surprise appearance and yelled at the crowd about how he shouldn't even be here, like it was Dante from Clerks or something. He pulled out the devil mask before a video began to play for MJF, the former AEW Champion's music hit. He came out with a leather jacket and denim vest, a la Triple H. Hello, Triple H. He kicked Cole below the belt and hit a DDT. He grabbed the mic and gave a promo while Cole was helped to the back. Jaxie, we've been waiting for it. MJF, and again, the tattoo saying that he bet on himself and he has signed a long-term AEW contract. What are your thoughts?
Okay, first and foremost, I don't think anyone should be getting wrestling tattoos. We've already seen how many blunders happen, so it just scares me whenever I see that sort of thing. One day I just think to myself, you will regret that. You will. So, it looks pretty. So looks-wise, yeah, it looks pretty. Just maybe stop getting tattoos based on your company and stuff and facts. It's yeah. Anyway, moving past the tattoo, very happy to see MJF back. Again, he is one of those wrestlers that has this overall talent, and the fact that he has amassed such a fan base from going from like the most hated wrestler in a wrestling company so far to one of the most beloved is a feel good moment to see that, to hear that music, to like just the whole dramatic sort of, just sort of the first person camera going and picking up his scarf, that sort of thing. I think this was really well put together. And if they were going to have him sort of make his return, why not have it at Double or Nothing? So this all worked really well, I think. And he said the F word. He dropped the F bomb. that was a bit of a moment where even I was like, they didn't blur it.
No, but the thing is as well, Monty Jaxie makes a great point about an AEW tattoo, because there is not a bigger WWE mark in AEW than MJF. Not from just what he says, but to come out like Triple H, man. Like, my God.
Yeah, definitely. Like a nice little ode to Triple H returns and all of that. I guess you would make out his return in 02 and all of that. Excuse me. But yeah, I'm with you. It's kind of funny, but I understood the sentiment of it too, because it was so much chatter. The funny part about it, this is the funny part to me about it, and maybe it was I would never complain because I understand most of it probably in hindsight it was just leverage play. But after the run that Tony gave him after his little sabbatical, when he come back and he becomes champion and he basically took over AEW television for the rest of the year. And he was the only person he was the only person I really believed thought about the bidding war 2024. He leaned into that. He is the one who made that a thing. It wasn't, no one else thought about MJF leaving or going to WWE as being a serious thought process type of thing, even with his relationship with Cody or whatever, because at the end of the day, yeah, Cody had a history. Cody had some unfinished business. But when you go there, you're gonna have to build and you're gonna have to still establish yourself. Now, I do agree with him that it's beautiful that a guy like him who was unwanted or whatever could garner that type of attention just from AEW. And I think AEW always does a great job of leaning into that underdog mentality that they have, even though they also do the opposite and try to act like that they try to get mad when WWE treat them like an underdog, which I don't understand. Like, which one do you have? Which one are you? Are you guys the underdog that came from nothing and built yourself up? Or do you already think in 6 years you're on the caliber of something that's been around almost 60 or 60 plus years? You know what I mean?
Or WCW.
Right.
Make your mind
up.
up.
Which one are you? Make your mind up. Like, exactly. Are you the underdog and WWE keeps punching down, or are you legit competition? So, like I say, that's the only thing about it. But yeah, the tattoo thing, that's not my thing. But hey, I don't mind it, especially with the bet on yourself line. That's cool. You can at least. I know a lot of people who get tattooed and say, well, this was a period in my life where I was blah 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 blah. So he can always, at least when he's 70, he can be like, well, this is when I was, you know.
Yeah, but spend money making
So
sure the
I get
design
it.
looks good. Like,
True,
do you
exactly.
know what I mean? No.
True. Make it look good. I agree.
And another thing as well, we talk about, the story that we had about the devil just ending like this. And Gina, instead of asking you that, I'm going to say, like, with MJF, it's great seeing back. Is this sometimes something known as too much tan, shall we say,
Do you know what? This is one thing I don't feel I can comment too much on. Because I am mixed race, because I am naturally tanned, I've never had to use self-tan. Now, don't get me wrong, I have helped my friends when going on nights out when I was much younger apply fake tan to their backs, and I've had the biggest regrets because then the back of my hands were just orange, pure orange. That's how MJF looks to me. I don't know if for other people of different races, when they look at someone who has used fake tan and it may look natural to them. For me, I can tell when the tan is not natural when you use the fake tan. And for me, MJF he definitely has overused it a bit because I looked at him and I saw him as orange.
But this is a problem. I understand maybe trying to add a little bit of colour, and again, maybe it's one of those things in a few years' time that, people can't do. But who wants to look like an Oompa Loompa? I just don't. I don't get it.
I'm waiting for the
What
green
about
hair.
Braun Breaker? We gonna let Braun Breaker do this, bro? Like, come on,
I
man.
mean, but it's the same even with Adam Cole. At some point, you can actually see sort of the different types of tan on his hands, and I just again, my sister makes another good point. We are mixed race, so we don't fully understand like the levels of applying fake tan. But do you not have enough money to maybe like have like someone apply the tan for you who knows sort of like the color range to actually make it look a little bit more believable? Because I don't get it.
When does it become offensive, though? That's what I'm saying as well. Like, how much tan
exactly.
is just like even not for me because I said I'm a white guy, but would I?
I don't know how
mixed race or something like that.
It can really get when all they're all trying to do is aim to be orange, because that's the outcome that they're getting. They're not even getting dark. They're not getting black. If that's what they want, they are getting orange. So,
orange face.
There's going to be a whole trend of like orange face going around soon. All they have to do is apply.
Growing up, the ironic thing is, growing up, I thought Hulk Hogan was black because of his tan. So I'm just letting you know. It's very ironic when you think about it now, especially Hollywood Hogan with the dyed black beard. I was like, yo, Hollywood. I thought they were the brothers, and I found out, hold up, Terry Bollea is Italian. What do you mean? So like I think it's an old school wrestling thing too, because I know they used to go hard, like Macho Man, all those guys back in the day definitely used to go hard with the tan. British Bulldog. All these guys, but they definitely was not. I don't know about spraying and the way, like you said, the blending and all of that. Like, I'm black. I don't get. Come on, man. I go out in the sun. It's over with. So I don't need. I get my natural. We get natural.
They also went hard on crack.
It's funny,
back in
man.
the day, so
exactly. Everything don't have to trout. You making my point for me, John. Like, I'm being long winded, but that's exactly what I'm saying. Like,
I was gonna say,
everything from back in the day don't have
but
to.
Off his mind. Like, we don't want.
Right. We don't have to continue everything.
We like just passed out in the like suntan bed and actually just woke up like hours later, like shit.
I need to talk to. We need some. We need to. And I'm American. I need to figure out like what is the tanning rules for white people. Like, I have no clue. Like, I don't know what.
Do us a favor, because Americans certainly like to tan a lot more than us us Brits.
Definitely.
We don't need a tan.
Definitely.
Have you seen how drizzly it is all the time in the summer?
Right.
An actual suntan I'd be acceptable, but someone to actually like in December, to look like that. Is a question. But we'll move on from that, because otherwise we could spend all day. And we go to the Bang Bang Gang versus Death Triangle for the Trios title. Jay White and Pac were going to start, but Switchblade did the heel thing and tagged out. Lucha Brothers almost never try to match their gear, but they did for this match, and I appreciate that. Pac and Alex Abrahantes matched them too. White and Pac's rivalry took centre stage, but all six men had standout moments. And then Juice Robinson, the juice is loose. He showed up and tripped Pac on the top rope, and this allowed White to get the pin for his team. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's great to see Juice back, but fuck me, I was annoyed. Monty, what about you?
Yeah, man, this was fine. I didn't have a problem with the match. But once again, always awesome. Been waiting on the Juice Robinson return. I mean, I think all of us can attest to the most entertaining thing the Bang Bang Gang had going for him, but pre his injury or whatever was going on, was definitely Juice Robinson for a lot of reasons. So, but I think in this format, for trios and all of that. Also, I can't wait to see what they do. Like, how do you decide to do? Because I think we all can see Jay White is definitely a guy who can be the singles leader of this group. But like, do you add Juice to the singles ranks, and does he chase a belt? Do you like, how do you want this to work? Can you do the free bird rule? Let Juice defend with the guns instead of Jay White, and let Jay White chase a singles belt. Very interesting to see what they decide to do going forward. But again, this match was really, really good. I mean, I think we all know what Death Triangle brings to the table. I'm waiting on them to actually pull the trigger on more for either, I mean, I'm always looking for more for Penta and Ray Phoenix, but I think Pop to an extent also with him coming back, or Pac when he returned, I was expecting big things for him. So I don't know as a future what they decide to do with the Death Triangle. But to be fair, the trios division need them kind of, because they're failing, in my opinion, to kind of make more believable trios other than the 3 or 4 that we've always talked about, I feel like. So I understand keeping them around, keeping them together. And but I don't know. I can't wait to see what they decide to do going forward. But this was really, really cool. Didn't mind anything that happened here. Again, respect everybody that was in this match, and very happy to see Juice Robinson back, because again, he was a delight. He was the delight before he left.
Yeah, he kind of adds that shot to the Bang Bang Gang, doesn't he? And Gina, talk about the Bang Bang Gang, but as Monty said, it's just great seeing the Death Triangle back together again after kind of all these kind of injury problems. You realise just how good they are as a trio as well.
Oh, definitely. And just like Monty said, even though there may be like certain, I don't know, stagnation in terms of separate storylines for like maybe Pac compared to, just the Ray Fenix and Penta being a single tag team. As a trios, I think the trio division need them at the moment, because they have been gone, they have been missed, but also just the fluidity of them as a team. It kind of needs to represent. They're not showing House of Black enough to kind of show their kind of cohesiveness. And when we do, it's kind of like really quick and short segments. And we are stuck with the same people sort of, being the Acclaimed and Gates of Agony. We've been seeing them a lot. So we do really need like kind of Death Triangle back to show us how good this trios division is and why we got these trio belts in the first place. But yeah, it is difficult, because I do feel biased to Death Triangle, because I love Pac individually and I love Ray Fenix and Penta individually, and I love them even more all together. So I do feel biased when talking about this trio.
But we'll talk about, like I said, what happened in the match as well. And Jaxie, there's no doubt, judging by the handprint on Pac's chest, that singles match between Jay White and Pac was going to hit so hard.
Oh yeah, definitely. We're all itching to see it. We will get that eventually. With Pac's return, it makes you realize like how starved we have been for sort of like one-on-one matches with him. Because quite frankly, I was thinking to myself, especially when you were talking about sort of, Monty was talking about, what do they do with Juice? Do they maybe try and integrate him into the trios belts and then have Jay go off for a singles run? And particularly, same question could go for Death Triangle. Like, do you have them go for the trios belts, or do you have Penta and Ray go for the tag belts and actually have Pac reintegrate himself into the international championship? He had a great run, first of all, with the belt. And I, quite frankly, would love to see Pac versus Will Ospreay. I think we've seen it before. I've seen it before anyway. But seeing that again, one-on-one on AEW content would actually be a highlight. So there's a lot of potential one-on-one matches to come out there. I'm a lot like you though, James. Like, I absolutely love Juice returning because his character just like really evens out and levels out Bullet Club Gold and really just kind of brings them like more together as a family. So I love seeing his return. But god damn it, you just messed with my freaking predictions. I was pissed. I was pissed at that interference. I was like, could you not have just made a comeback after the match and just beat up on them because they won? No?
Well,
okay.
What pissed me off more was the fact that we did the predictions and then I read like, Juice Robinson is there today, and I thought, oh, for fuck's sake, don't.
Yeah.
And then, no, he fucking did.
Yeah.
So,
I know. I just like, as soon as they appeared, I just thought to myself, why didn't I think of this? Why did I not think of this? You know? So yeah, apart from being a little bit annoyed and miffed that I've already picked up my first L here, this was overall like it was a fun match. And if anything, the one thing that I will give is that taking the L here as well. Also, I'm semi not mad because Bullet Club Gold really actually do need to be winning. That like they are the trios champions across both Ring of Honor and AEW, and right now they're not being given enough screen time and showcased to be a bigger deal than what it is. So they really did need to pick up a win here, especially when Death Triangle aren't really the champions, or aren't the champions. So by them, if they had lost, we'd be asking ourselves what's next for Bullet Club Gold after they're like losing gold. You know, so it makes sense. I don't know why I didn't think more strategically into this when I gave my prediction. So I'm happy and I'm mad at the same time of the outcome.
Yeah, you're mappy. So out of 5 then, Monty, what would you give it?
I'll give it a 4. Good tag. Again, love everybody for their work and what they bring to AEW. And happy to see Juice.
Gina, what about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, Juice's hair looks like mine when I get out the shower. Happy to see him back. So I'm gonna give it a 4 1/4.
4 1/4, Jaxie?
Yeah, I'm giving this a 4 1/4 too.
Yeah, I gave it a 4 1/4. Predictions, we all went Death Triangle, so it means Jaxie Gina on 3, I'm on 2, Monty on 1. Nigel McGuinness replaces Taz as we get Tony Storm versus Serena Deeb for the AEW Women's Championship. During the lead up to this, Deeb said this would be the best women's match in AEW history, which is a lofty claim. But from the moment the bell rang, you could tell both women were trying hard to live up to that claim. They incorporate some comedy spots here and there, but for the most part, this was a highly competitive exchange between two people who pride themselves on their skill. Ryan May and Luther at ringside, but stayed out the action for a long time, which was good because it allowed Deeb and Storm to show everyone exactly what they can do together. Even though Professor was playing the babyface, the crowd was clearly behind Timeless Tony. May wanted to throw the towel in for Storm, but Luther stopped her. Storm escaped the hold she was in and threw the towel in the crowd. And Deeb came close to winning several times before Timeless Tony hit 2 Storm Zeros for the pin and the win. Gina, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, no, I actually thought this was a really great match. I'm not gonna lie, every time I see Deeb, I've liked him more and more. Wait, I mean, at the end of sorry, I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, no, I like Deeb. I'm biased to her in a way that every time I see her, she improves more and more. She impressed me with this match because I feel like there were certain times that she possibly carried Storm a little bit, but then I also thought there were certain spots where Storm did the same for Deeb. So I think they worked really well together. They have they had a fight between themselves like before on just a normal Dynamite? that's not a tag up match. I can't remember, but either way, I just enjoyed seeing these two women together. So for me, it was a great match, and I thought the theatrics were hilarious as usual. But that's kind of expected with Storm, right?
Yeah, without a doubt. Jack C, this was probably more wrestling than Toni Storm has done for months, and it just shows she can really do it all, you know, in every aspect.
Yeah, I think Deep was a great opponent in that aspect. You know, she's known as the professor, and you know, this was one of those matches where it really was like Tony needed to be serious. You know, this was like a sort of serious moment where Deep really was at like her whole sort of build up to this match was like, you do not take things seriously. You are not a technical wrestler. I am. And I think this was like, you know, partly about Tony proving a point of, you know, I can be this dramatic actress and be gorgeous and loved by all and still be greatly technical. So I think overall, I really enjoyed these two these two's match. There was back and forth moments where you did actually think, do you know what, Deep's got the upper hand here. At one point, she was countering every move that Tony was coming up with, you know, and it really gave you that moment of thinking to yourself, is she schooling Tony right now? Is she teaching her? Is the professor coming out? There was definitely a moment for me where I thought, could they actually just pull one up over on us? You know, it's double or nothing. They could take this gamble here. You know, a great showcase between the two of them. I think that they actually could pull off another bout between the two, and it would be just as good as this one. They had time to really build this match, so it was a bit slow paced at first, but I think they needed that because that showcased Serena's strength of not just being a technical wrestler, but also getting under like her opponent's skin, really like winding them up to the point where they could make sloppy mistakes that she can counter on. So this was a good showcase for Serena Deeb. It just didn't work in her favor in the end.
Yeah, without a doubt. Monty, as we mentioned earlier as well, even in this match, you know, there's so much potential for the women's division. Like we talk about, someone like Serena Deeb versus Perazzo will be awesome. And of course, what Toni Storm could do, and then you've got the kind of Mariah May story coming into it as well. And if they really want to focus, it's there because the talent's there.
Definitely, I think now's the time. Honestly, they've had the talent, to be honest, in places. But all right, let's argue and say they didn't have it. You can't tell me they don't have it now in both sides, whether it's TBS, TNT, TBS or the AEW Women's Title. You can't tell me they don't have a capability of having multiple divisions and all of that. And even with some of the girls who I see spend a lot of time in Ring of Honor, like Queen Aminata and and all of that. Like, they have the talent, and Athena, of course. So, like, again, I'm with you. I think we can all kind of see that the makings of something special in this division, and I think they just need to be more consistent with everything, TV time, match time, and I think this is a great match to kind of show what a lot of us have been trying to say when we look at some of these cards in the past and we say, wow, this women's title match only got 8 minutes. This women's title match only got this and that. They let these women cook for a good 15, 20 minutes almost. And, I did see some people who, I think there's always kind of a complaint with Serena. Some people may not just be a fan of that style. Some people try to say that she's boring. But, again, I thought that was the point of the story, to kind of, like, again, it was some shenanigans, but let's cut all that out and let's go out here and actually have a legit wrestling match. And like you mentioned earlier, I think a lot of the people, Tony, listen, if it's one thing I know about Tony, he pays attention to what people are saying online. And I know we're not the only ones who were saying that Tony has not been wrestling the same. And I think putting her with someone like Serena, where if you're going to fight Serena legitimately, especially for this amount of time, you're going to have to wrestle. You're going to have to know what you're doing. You're going to have to show that you can wrestle with a guy, with someone like Serena. So, yeah, man, I thought this was good. I think both ladies end up shining. At the end of the day, that's all you can ask for. And, this is a really good defense. And like you said, moving forward, I just want to see more consistency or just more story time. I just want to see the growth. I want to see more of it for everyone, whether it's angles, whether it's ring time, whether it's just consistency overall with them being a focus, even if they're not the main focus. Like, some other promotions may focus more on it. I think they should at least continue to get this momentum behind their division, because I'd be lying if I say they haven't became like what we were complaining about last year. Out of sight, out of mind, because I definitely feel like they're doing way better in this regard.
Yeah, without a doubt. So out of 5 then, Gina, what would you score it?
I'll give it a 4.
Jaxie?
I like this match. I'm going to give it a 4.5.
Monty?
Yeah, 4.25 is what I was at.
I'm going to give it 4.5 and an A for effort. Predictions all went Tony, so the girls were on 4. I'm on 3, Monty on 2. The next bout was a grudge match between former members of Best Friends, Orange Cassidy and Trent Beretta. OC came out to his old entrant music instead of Jane. And for the first couple of minutes, Cassidy and Beretta went shot for shot. Whether one man did, the other did right after. Trent finally got the upper hand, but not for long. Cassidy was able to roll over Beretta into a pinning combination to get the win after failing to beat him with his usual finishers. Trent looked absolutely devastated after the loss. He didn't even try to get revenge. He just slowly walked away with his head down through the crowd. Jaxie, what were your thoughts on this? Because we talked about Orange Cassidy earlier. But, I mean, if Trent's going to turn, if he even can't get the win, what's the point?
Well, again, this was exactly what I was about to bring up the minute that you said my name was. What was the point of this match? What was the point of Trent turning heel? He managed to get the win and have this sort of upper sort of point against Orange Cassidy, getting under his skin and actually getting him completely riled up to the point where he's taken out one of his best friends of commission, and he was a best friend, and you've had him lose is this twice now to Orange Cassidy?
Yep, twice.
Yeah. What are we doing here? What are we doing here, guys? I'm just I'm so confused. I think do you know what my issue is if this is to change up Trent's character and actually give him purpose, then why have him lose twice now? Where's the direction going here?
Well, again, not to give spoilers, but obviously in the Dynamite after Trent joined with Don Callis, I mean, Monty, do you think that's going to help him in any way? Because it's helped a lot of the other Don Callis family. I mean, look at Carl Fletcher.
Kyle Fletcher was going to be fine either way. I can make the argument. I can make the argument that Taka and Kyle Fletcher would be fine without Dunn. But that's whatever. That's all. Anyway, that's besides the point. That's, I think it will help him. I mean, I don't know. It could be hit or miss with Trent. I've always kind of appreciated Trent even before AEW ever started, years before it started, because Trent's been doing this a long time. And I honestly, I'm with you. I'm more disappointed, not so much that he lost, because I didn't really think he would win, because Orange Cassidy is Orange Cassidy, but I'm more disappointed in the fact that it wasn't really like a pay-per-view quality. It wasn't like he didn't even really threaten Orange as much. If you're gonna do it, at least if you're gonna turn, if you're gonna do this, and beat the hell out of him, really brutalize him, and that's what I was kind of hoping for, and we didn't really get that. We got a little bit, like you said, a lot of riling him up and all of that, but he still lost. And because I think going into this, we all expected Orange Cassidy to be the better wrestler, because he just is. But for Beretta, I think what you're kind of hoping for is something for people to latch on to, and I think that might be the biggest deal, is that I don't think anybody came from that thinking any better or even really worse, other than we think worse of the booking, but we don't really take worse of Trent. So it's just all right, what like you mean, now you just asked the question, what's the point of it? So if he joined Don Callis, will he get heat from it? Sure. But I don't know. I to be honest, does this move him any closer to any? What is the goal? That's what I want to know. Are we trying to give Trent a singles run to possibly be a Ring of Honor singles or AEW singles champion? or is he just trying to get? He gonna end up in a team? I know Hobbs. Is he just replacing Hobbs because Hobbs is hurt? You know what I mean? And all of that. So I don't know. I really don't know. I would like to think that they have a big plan for Trent Beretta, but if I go through Trent Beretta's entire career, he's never really ever been given a chance to show that he can be the guy. And for whatever reason, and I think that might continue, to be honest, with what we all talk about the talent that AEW has. This is a chance, though. I do think fighting with Orange Cassidy, splitting them up, gaining something from doing this with Orange Cassidy should have been the end goal here. So I do understand the frustration, but again, it's just one of those things that if you've been watching Trent's entire career, he kind of always fell short. So I think that's one of the disappointing things about this angle is that, all right, well, just walk out with your head down, fall short again. You don't even hurt the guy. He just, whatever. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe, like you said, maybe we'll look back in a couple months and Barella's just changed, man, with Callis getting heat, and he's one of the hottest heels. We'll see.
It's doubtful, though, isn't it? Like you talk about. And Gina, again, with Orange Cassidy, it just feels like this match was put there because they needed an Orange Cassidy match on pay-per-view. And I'm an Orange Cassidy fan.
Right.
But this could have been Dynamite, couldn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't want to seem like I'm a hater of Orange Cassidy. I'm not, but I'm also not the biggest fan of his. I just, think he's a lazy character, but that's his persona. And, some people warm to him, some people don't. And that's absolutely fine. But at the end of the day, I think this match definitely should have been Trent's. And in a way, for me, not being the biggest Orange Cassidy fan, I kind of felt a little bit bitter for Trent for that. So, I can imagine if other people have the same sort of thoughts like me for Orange Cassidy, they probably feel the same as well.
All right, so scores out of 5 then. Jaxie, what would you give it?
Like, it wasn't a bad match, but it just kind of, again, I feel like a majority of our points here is that there's just disappointment with whatever this means for Trent. So because of that, I'm going to give it a 3, because I just feel like ultimately what has this done for OC? This has done nothing to like help elevate him any more than what he already has, but also just done absolutely fuck all for Trent. So 3.
Yeah. Monty?
Yeah, even like you mentioned, James, someone who loved Orange Cassidy, you can just see that at the end of the day, they just needed to fill their quota. Like, all right, well, he's one of our most popular. Let's get him on the card. That's what it comes off as when you give this type of match, and you can't really give, like you said, explanation for any positive other than Orange Cassidy wrestled. So 3 is actually really fair. I don't think you're being unfair.
Gina?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to give it a 3.25.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 3. Well, someone that does deserve TV time, Chris Jericho versus Hook and Katsuyori Shibata for the FTW title. And the learning tree went right after Hook when the bell rang, but Shibata and Hook were almost working as a unit at times. Jericho dumped a bag of dice on the mat, but Hook and Shibata ended up suplexing him before he could use them to his advantage. There was a scary moment when Shibata and Hook were supposed to fall onto Jericho and go for a table, but the table didn't break and everyone crashed down hard. Big Bill eventually showed up and helped Jericho escape the Red Rum, but Hook put him through a table at ringside. Marsman showed up and attacked Shibata and Hook before revealing himself to be Brian Keith, and Jericho stole a win and left without checking on Keith and Bill. Monty, it's Brian Keith. When Shibata was cleared, did you expect him to be matches like this?
I definitely didn't expect it, but when you sign over yourself to the AEW, man, you open yourself up to some serious possibilities, and I guess this is one of them. It's always great to see Shibata, but you know what my intentions were for Shibata when he returned, and the fact that I still can't get a Kenta match with him is it's still frustrating me to this day. So I don't even really care. I just try to block out the fact that Shibata is doing some of the things that they have him doing, but I don't mind it. It is what it is. Do I want him involved with Jericho? No. We don't even want Jericho on the card at this point. But I think we all know that at this point he's doing it. He's ignoring it. It's not X-Pac heat to him. He's getting great heat. He's allowing guys like Big Bill, who's been in this business a long time now, by the way, Jay. But that guy's learning from him. Right. Brian Keith also a guy who, I know he hasn't been top notch, so maybe he is gaining more because he hasn't been to this level before. But he's also been wrestling a long time. I'm from the Texas, Louisiana area. I know a lot about Brian Keith. So as someone who's kind of seen him on the circuit, it's kind of a lot of people who know Brian Keith, we were just like, oh no, not somebody we actually like having to do this, so because we know with the potential he has. I don't mind it because at least he's being used, and I think this is one of those situations where it's like, do you want this guy back there doing nothing, catering, or do he have to deal with Jericho? And it's like, you know what I mean? You're damned if you do, damned if you don't, So yeah, man. I'm just like everybody else. Do not get me wrong. Do not want to see the TV time. Do not care about the learning tree. But this is the heart. This is the cards that were dealt, man. Tony and Jericho are telling all of us, deal with it.
But the thing is even like there was the Brian Griffin gif or GIF, or we're going to call it, going around where he's got no skin. Not got no fur, and it did look like Chris Jericho. But again, Monty, maybe you're being a bit harsh. I mean, Jericho with other talent that he will leave worse off. I mean, come on, look at all the talent he's worked with and left worse off. Like, surely now he's not going to do it again. With Hook and.
I think I'm the worst person to ask, because if you ask me, Jericho is my biggest hate at the moment, because the last I checked, my man was putting him in his place, and now he's not seen on TV. So at the end of the day,
come on, like the real
Big Bill's on TV, team. But like just because Ricky Starks said he didn't want to work with Jericho, and now we don't see my man on TV.
This could have been Jericho. It could have been Ricky Starks with Jericho, Gina. I mean, look how much he would have gained.
I'm actually glad that it wasn't, because, and I think Ricky Starks would rather it not be either. I don't think he wants his career in any way associated with.
I mean,
Mr.
you also
Jericho.
tag out during that match. He was like, "Fuck that."
Don't want to. Oh my God, Brian Keith was supposed to be Ricky.
Yeah, Brian Keith.
Was supposed to be Ricky.
Yeah. You could tell he probably was meant to be Ricky, and Ricky was like, "Fuck, no, just keep me off TV then."
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, it does make me feel happy, because, again, there are people, and I'm not just talking from like a wrestler's point of view. There's lots in the music business going down at the moment, and there are so many people who have come forward and they've just said, like, we watched a lot of this happen, but we didn't do anything because we were scared. And you can tell that, like, Ricky Starks is not the type of person to just stand by and watch something and not comment his personal views. So I can see that is kind of one of the many reasons. But yeah, I just don't have a lot of nice things to say about Jericho at the moment. He's irking me, and I think he needs to go off TV.
I like him. It's weird not to have Taz on commentary, and usually the face is outnumbered. But I think apart from that, but these hardcore spots, I mean, Jaxie, what we needed on this card was this hardcore stuff, because we didn't have a barbed wire match or like an Anarchy in the Arena. So for them to risk Shibata's existence on a table that didn't break is worthwhile.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that there could have been a more story-driven aspect that people were invested in if they were going to risk Shibata's health like that. But then, what do I know? I also am in agreement with my sister that, Jericho could do with going away for a bit and no one would miss him. And I just think that he's just being featured way too much. I think that Hook could actually be elevated by others. And with what we're seeing, especially towards the end of the match, and towards, sort of like Joe sort of kind of coming through.
Joe's coming, just going to Hook, just be like, let's get away from Jericho. Come on, let's.
Yeah.
But
basically.
But this match, though, I think is a bit like Jericho now. It should be entertaining, but I haven't got an interest, which is interesting, really. So scores out of 5 for this matchup. Monty, what are you giving it?
Yeah, I think another thing too that's kind of underrated about these. I don't know if y'all noticed it, but like just probably since last year, every AEW show we review, the Jericho section of the show just slows the entire card down. Like they be on a great roll of momentum, and then here comes the Jericho match. We all know it's coming, and then we just kind of have to get through it. So overall, I'm really arguing with myself. Was this better than the Orange Cassidy stuff? Sure. But did I want to see it?
That's what I'm saying.
I'm giving it 3. It's an even. They both tied for 2 frustrating reasons. I think I give it a 3. It wasn't for me. I love you, Shibata. Please, just come on, man. You have so much talent. Just let Shibata
Who wants
do
to see
normal
Shibata
wrestling
versus
stuff,
Hook?
man.
Who wants to see that? I'd rather see the dice
come on, man.
and the hardcore matches. Come on.
Let him take. He has history with Okada. Just let him be mad at Okada for what he's become and how he represents Japan. Let him go. Let them try to have. I know that might be dangerous too for past reasons, but they don't have to headbutt each other this time. Just let them fight.
I want to see Shibata jobbing out to Big Bill, man. That's what we all want in comedy segments.
Oh yeah, that's what we need. Sure.
Gina, what would you score this?
Do you know what? Just because of Jericho's involvement, it's a 3.5. It would be higher
Jaxie?
if he wasn't in the match.
Ooh, Jaxie?
I'm giving this a 3.
Yeah, I'm going to give it 3.25. Predictions, we went Jericho, Monty on 4, the rest on 5. We've got John Moxley versus Kozuka Takeshita next, the IWGP Championship Eliminator match. This is the third singles match between these two. Moxley won the first 2 in 2022. And Mox came into this match with an injured arm. So Takeshita focused almost all his offense on the injury. They worked a slow, methodical pace, so Moxley could sell every big move. Once he began to build some momentum, they started moving a bit quicker. The majority of the match was dominant performance from Takeshita. He's probably responsible for about 90% of the offense, but Mox still ended up getting the victory. Again, Gina, what are your thoughts on this? Because remember when Takeshita had a bit of momentum going into it? And if you can't beat a one-armed man, I can't think of the best expression.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to lie, I was quite disappointed. I do feel like they've really thrown us with curveballs with Takeshita because they've given him some really big wins, and he seems to be quite dominant when he is in a one-on-one match, especially. And he does have big wins, like a win over Kenny Omega. So it's a bit shocking, like. I don't get me wrong. I definitely do believe that John Moxley can beat Takeshita. That's not what I'm saying here. But I just felt in the way that they have been presenting Takeshita, I thought it would have been more beneficial for him to have got this win over Mox. So in terms of like storyline wise, I don't know whether this hurts Takeshita or not, taking this loss. But it depends on what they're kind of planning to do with him next, if that makes sense.
Yeah, right, Dale. I mean, Jackson, the question for you, did Moxley have enough bandage on? You know, at one point I thought he was trying to be like a mummy or the Yeti.
Yeah. I mean, I did wonder, sort of what is it that's bandaged up? Because, it got ripped off real quick. So I'm not too sure, like what the purpose of it was. But yeah, it was a match that I felt like was still well attuned because you saw how well Takeshita did. How much he actually did sort of dominate. Like you said, it went off kind of like at first a little bit slow, methodical. I think that Takeshita has a lot of talent. And I feel like we're just waiting for Tony to just hit the go ahead with him, So I kind of wonder what's in store, what's next at this point for Takeshita, because he's had ups and downs, he's had highs and lows, and I'm just really wondering kind of like whether or not they're gonna put a belt on him at some point. He's doing enough to make me believe that he could run well with a belt. Something small to start off with, like, the international or something at some point. But I feel like he's slowly working towards that, and I think he worked well with Mox.
Yeah, I think without a doubt. And I think the thing is, we talk about Monty, there's no doubt Takeshita is like uber talented, as we know. And I think the thing is as well with Moxley, whether you love him or you hate him, I don't think there's any kind of in between. I do think Mox showed another side in this matchup.
Yeah, man, he did. He sold his ass off for this one. I thought it was a really, really cool element of the match, and but it was like the thing. I kind of also I was kind of both of two minds of it because I kind of had a problem with it too. Basically, and just like I know we didn't get a chance to do the New Japan podcast, but it's just been a lot of frustration out of Japan from their wrestlers because of the utilization of the IWGP World Champion, and I think the reason a lot of you guys' frustration, is warranted as it is. Tony kind of booked himself in that position by making this an eliminator match and not giving but at the same time, since he's the world champion, guess who's gonna be mad if your world champion loses to DDT's Takeshita? Like at the end of the day, Moxley represents New Japan, and like a lot of them are mad that he's having regular title matches with no build and no anticipation. So the fact that you're gonna do this and make it an eliminator match, I can see why Tony was like, "No, Moxley has to win because he's the champion." But at the same time, you're booking him against Takeshita because you think it's gonna be a nice match, but Takeshita, is gonna have to suffer here. Even though I think we all know that he's probably primed and ready to be more important for AEW. He's kind of mentioned his frustration with kind of always kind of like as hard as he worked and seemingly in the same position. So it's weird. It's very, very weird. This entire situation, even though I do think the match they did was pretty good, really great barring with the circumstances. But when you book the champion in a situation where he's one arm, that sounds like a believable situation to have the contender to win. But this is not an AEW championship. This is a New Japan champion, and New Japan do not want him losing, as world champion on regular. Even though this is a pay-per-view card for them, this is like, again, with the build, it just wouldn't. Gotta ask for permission to have Moxley to take that loss. So you know what I mean. You just book yourself kind of in a corner here when you in that position.
And then people wonder why it's like, why the fuck is Moxley fighting Rocky Romero? And it's like, because we really got a choice.
Right, yeah. That's the guy that they don't
We're
like.
We're going to have Kyle O'Reilly next week.
Yeah. Exactly. Someone he can beat, even though it's going to be fun to watch. But we can't let Mox lose. We can't have him look too weak, because we do that, New Japan looks weak. So again, you go back to why did you do it in the first place? And it's one of them situations. But it is what it is. But yeah, that was kind of like the element for me. As much as I enjoyed this match, I kind of knew they were screwed either way, because Takeshita definitely deserves to be a top contender or a champion. But Moxley is not going to be where he gets that from, unfortunately.
No, but hopefully, if we heard from the announcements, and I don't know how up to date everybody is with New Japan or what happened with Dominion and stuff like that, but it looks like it will be Moxley and Naito at the Forbidden Door. So maybe all this nonsense will be over sooner rather than later. Who knows? Out of 5, Gina, what would you score it?
I'll give it a 4.
Jaxie?
Yeah, I'll give this a 4 1/4.
4 1/4. Monty?
I give it 3 3/4. Good stuff.
I gave it a 4 1/4. Predictions: Gina went to Takeshita, the rest went Mox, so it means Monty and Gina on 5, Jaxie James on 6. As we head to Adam Copeland versus Malachi Black, TNT title in a barbed wire steel cage match. Copeland came up through the stage, surrounded by a ring of fire, just like he used to during his Brood days with Slay at playing. They wasted no time going for some of the weapons that were in the cage. Black got cut by Copeland, which showed trust. He did a second blade job minutes later. They eventually used the barbed wire bat to inflict even more damage upon each other. And this is exactly what you expect it to be. Very little wrestling, a lot of weapons, and tons of blood. After time, Black to a table with barbed wire. Copeland climbed to the top of the cage and dove off. He put Black through the table, but also landed his feet instead on top of Black. It was painful looking, to say the least. Brody King and Buddy Murphy showed up. They stood next to Copeland, made it look like they were siding with him before attacking him. They all built. I'm laughing because of what happened next. Because, you know, these three guys in their prime all then got beaten up by Gangrel, who came up through the ring and attacked House of Black.
Oh, my God.
Copeland used the barbed wire to apply a crossface. Black passed out as the referee declared to Radar Superstar the winner. Jaxie, go on. You can start us off here because I know you had a point from earlier. But, I mean, even the matchup, this could have main evented a pay-per-view, the kind of gimmick, and it was like four matches before the end as well.
This really was sort of like the perfect sort of moment to be able to really just elevate Malachi Black to the status that, you know, he is or should be at, you know, like just to actually even solidify and re-get him sort of like considered and picked up again. So like this is all levels of disappointment in certain ways. The match itself between both of them was really good and actually had like the potential to like be one of those matches that could go down as like one of a match of the year contender. Like the problem that I had with it, first of all, Adam Copeland, if you're gonna come down like that off the top of the ring, right? Do not come down legs first. Do not come down legs first. Like, even I was like, yeah, you've like definitely you've done more than break a toe at this point. I'm not sure what's happened here. Secondly, can we just really sort of like hit home here how much like it's coming across that Adam Copeland is stifling like the younger talent that should actually be running AEW. You know, this is what AEW was built on, like the core foundation of building up and coming new talent, putting them over. And so far we've not really seen much commitment of putting over new talent. All we've from Adam Copeland, we've seen a majority of him winning a lot of these outcomes. And it just leaves you questioning what's next for Malachi Black at this point.
Excuse me. Yeah, I completely agree with you, no doubt. Monty, I mean, because we saw like 500 feet of barbed wire, crown of thorns, no blood drinking, but a broken leg. With Adam Copeland basically saying that his body pulled the emergency brake on him. But again, with someone with this amount of neck injuries, with the two spots we've already had earlier in the night, risking these guys.
Mm-hmm.
First off, who's backstage?
This is all before Anarchy, by the way.
Yeah. Who's telling them don't be a fucking? That's what I'm saying to you. We've had a barbed wire steel cage match, and it's not even the main event. We've got Anarchy in Arena still to come. But again, even with this issue, it's not like Adam Copeland was the one jumping off fucking ladders during the TLC days. You know, if it had speared Malachi Black, I would have agreed. You know, but what the fuck?
Yeah, I don't get it, man. I'm with you, and you know, I think overall too, I think looking back, I guess he went for an elbow and it just didn't go. But I don't know why he just didn't do a splash. That would have been a lot safer. Just go flat straight forward, you know. But I don't know what that was. I don't know why they had to go that route. Even the Gangrel idea. All right, yeah, it's always cool to see Gangrel, but like anybody who know anything about it, Gangrel was a great gimmick. Yeah, but come on, man. Gangrel couldn't even win a match in the 90s. He couldn't win a match in the 90s. But he could beat up the entire House of Black.
Brody fucking King.
Exactly. Right. But like the thing is, I get it, like for nostalgic sake you want to do that, but just put them on the fucking commentary then. If you want Gangrel for nostalgia, have him on commentary.
Like, yeah, you ruining my believability. Like, that's the thing about this man. It was great at part, but then it was also just like, all right, come on now, this is awful. In some parts, the believability is just insane.
You couldn't have him on commentary.
That went out the door the minute Gangrel came up and took out all three of House of Black. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
You couldn't have Gangrel on commentary. Could he be spitting blood at Excalibur? All right, so you couldn't do that. But, you know, again, have a weapon or something like that.
Right. Yeah. Make it believable. A pipe or like whatever. I don't know.
Make it make sense.
I don't know. Yeah, make it more believable. Like, but Gangrel again. I know he's trained people or whatever. He had his own wrestling company and all of that, or promotion, whatever. That's fine and dandy.
You can take out 3 man
But
by yourself, though.
exactly. Way past your prime.
Exactly. It's like watching
say
Ric Flair get in the ring and fucking slapping up Will Hobbs again, like that.
Or someone like Billy Gunn beating up 3 massive blokes as well.
You know what? As a matter of fact, this is a thing. I know we love Sting, but Sting was getting it off too. So
hey, at least
when you're 60,
can we stop
he
making
could die
this?
properly. Sting could
yes,
die.
at least.
but also with it being all against young up and coming talent, you're just putting these youngsters down. You get beaten up by 60+-year-olds and you ain't getting back up. Are you serious? Don't leave then, because you ain't. If you can't take on a 60-year-old, you can't take on a 34 or 35-year-old. Like, what the fuck?
A guy that we don't know would benefit more from these type of matches. Though that's what I'm saying. Like some of these newer guys that we don't know about, but the guys like Malachi, who everybody knows how supremely talented he is.
Exactly.
Like what does
everyone's
he
been
gain
itching for him to have a solo run
from failing here? Yeah, like what does a guy like him gain truly from this? And I think honestly, and this is no shot because I love Adam too, and I think the matches he had is great. Even with Penta guys like that, some of this is just bucket list stuff for Adam, and that's great. But let's still try to benefit the guys. Let's not just go down your list of people that you wish you could wrestle before it's time to go. Let's not make it. I know Brian is doing a similar thing, but you mentioned it's been a difference. He's been way more forgiving. He's not necessarily beating everyone when it comes to these.
We just need Tony to find a perfect middle ground with not jumping out
exactly.
like Brian is.
Give us a middle ground.
And
exactly.
not doing what go. But Gina, I mean, have we got a point? I mean, looking back on it, Copeland, since returning at the Rumble all those years ago now, what I worked out, he's lost to Randy Orton, Roman Reigns, and I think Christian in AEW. I mean, that's not bad. Those young and up-and-coming talent are going to feel that, aren't they?
Steph didn't beat him?
I mean, I don't really know. I totally agree with all the points you guys are making, but for me, I don't really know whether it's justifiable or not. I even think, even though he's as annoying as he is on my screen as ever, I even think Christian is putting the younger talent over because he's still taking L's here and there, or at least getting his ass kicked. I don't know. There's just something about Adam Copeland that I'm like, how come you're not doing as much as Bryan Danielson? Or I do agree that it just basically feels that he's like, no, I want to make sure that I solidify myself and just like win everything and beat everyone. And I don't think he needs to, because he's already a legend in itself. I think he can afford to take losses, so I don't see why not.
Well, someone comes up to him and he goes, that doesn't work out for me, brother. We're going to have to sort it out. So, anyway, out of 5 for this. Jaxie, what would you score it?
I mean, this was a difficult one to score because again, there was ups and downs of this one. I'm going to give this a 3.5.
3.5. Monty?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think again they worked hard. I want to say like a 4, maybe 3 3/4 to be overall what I give it. But also with when you make that point you made earlier, James, it makes you wonder or understand why WWE didn't mind just like not using Adam. Because I was thinking he could have did a lot more with some of the younger talent in WWE before he left out. But if his mind state was, I'm not gonna just lose or put over whoever you want, then it's like, oh, okay, well, I get why they weren't really using them. As much as I still don't like how WWE does a lot of their older guard, if you're not willing to put over the new talent, it makes sense. So I don't know, but overall, I think 4 where I give it.
Exactly. The contract negotiation now with WWE is like, so Edge, you going to put anybody over? That don't work for me, brother. All right, I'll see you later. Well, take care. Gina, what about you?
Sorry, what about me? What am I doing? Scoring?
Give me the score. Give me the score.
Again, I do find that this is a difficult one for me to score because I don't think it was an awful match, but I'm not going to lie, I'm getting really bored of these nostalgic legends coming back to be involved in the matches. I don't mind the nostalgia of bringing them back, having them come out and do a segment or something like that, but to fully be involved in the match is really starting to grate on me. And for that, I am going to be deducting a point for it. So for me, I am going to give it a 3.5.
I'm going to give it a 4. Predictions, we all went black. So it means Monty Jr. on 5, Jackson James on 6. That would have been it for a Triple H PLE, but there's more. It's the first of 3 main events, and it was a TBS title between Willow Nightingale and Mercedes Moné. The CEO had a big entrance with showgirls on the stage for a debut match. Moné's gear was really cool. Willow had a new hairdo and a giant friendship bracelet being carried by Statlander and Hathaway. If you couldn't make it any more fucking obvious what was going to happen. The champions looked to establish dominance early by forcing Moné to the corner as the crowd chanted for both women over and over. Nightingale had control for a long time. Once Moné began working the leg, the TBS champ found herself on the defence. This was a hard-hitting fight and made both women look incredibly tough, which is even more impressive considering, you know, this Mercedes hadn't wrestled for a year and we just come off a barbed wire steel cage match. Willow had a match won with a Dr. Bomb, but Chris Statlander and Stokely Hathaway accidentally distracted the ref. This allowed the CEO to hit a finisher for the win. Afterwards, Stokely yelled at Willow for losing. Stat shoved into the mat, but then Stat attacked Willow as Stoke looked on with a smile. Monty, what were your thoughts on this? Mercedes Moné, say what you will, just put her in the fucking ring, bro.
Yeah, exactly. I think this is what we need to do, and that's the one thing about the overall takeaway. Whether I thought this match, by the way, 20 minutes again. This is more of what I'm thinking about, just like the focus. If we can capture this and continue to do this, if it took Mercedes to come here, if it took having that type of star power to get Tony to understand what's going on, then so be it. But I'll never complain about having Mercedes wrestling again. It's like you mentioned, that's the key. At the end of the day, I know some people hate her promos. Some people hated the fact that she kind of just trotted out there and did the same thing for however long it's been since she returned. But this is where she shines. This is where the Moné. This is why you pay what you pay for Mercedes. This is why she is who she is, because at the end of the day, when you ring that bell, she can go out there and tell stories and wrestle her ass off with the best of them in the world. I saw a lot of people making a lot of conjecture about her saying she's the greatest of all time. Honestly, I don't want a top woman or a top man or anybody in my promotion if they don't think that, if they don't think like that. And she has a resume that you can argue that is one of the best in the world easily. So, this match right here was proof of it. Like, her and Willow, they had great chemistry. And again, for someone who hasn't wrestled on this, for our eyes to see publicly, on television, since her very, very serious injury in a match with Willow, this was excellent, man. You just can't ask for more from a quality standpoint. And as much as I didn't too much care for the shenanigans with Stat and stuff, I'm actually kind of pleasantly surprised, even though I was pleasantly surprised that it didn't play more of a factor in the finish. Like, yeah, she got distracted, but I was expecting even more of a turn, but it worked out. They ended up doing what we all kind of expected if you've been paying attention. And again, Mercedes is champion. I think even though none of us would be surprised, and I think all of us probably would have appreciated more Willow. I think we all know at the end of the day, Mercedes on television weekly defending a title or doing eliminator matches or whatever it is the direction we go in moving forward, and let Mercedes do her thing and be who she is, the CEO. I think this was a great display for both, and I'm also excited to see what Stat does going forward now in this new role, and where do we decide to do with Willow? Does she continue to be a little bit too nice, or does this bring out another side of her?
Well, one thing I noticed is that she changed the canvas because of how much blood splatter. So I'm glad there just wasn't one poor bloke with like a mop or something like that. But talking about the match, we'll get on to Moné in a second. But Gina, what I want to ask you, and Monty just said, Willow, 33-day reign over, got the story with Stat. In all seriousness, let's hope we see Willow as like world champion this time next year. I think if we don't, then I think AEW will have failed her because she's got so much this kind of goodwill behind her as well.
Yeah, I mean, definitely for sure. The thing is, I'm not mad at this match. I really am not. I'm not mad at the outcome. The one thing that I am a little maybe bitter about is just like the run that our girl Willow got. I think she maybe deserved a bit of a longer run. I know that they really desperately wanted to do the storyline between Mercedes and Willow and do it from there. But because Mercedes just came in like that, it is a bit of a shame and a disappointment because, again, they've just kind of ripped it away from Julia. And Julia was on a very big high. She had a lot of fans, even though she wouldn't necessarily say we're on she's on the caliber of Mercedes or even necessarily Willow, but I think she had a really hot streak. They kind of ripped it from her, which is fine because she was building up a bit of a thing with Willow, but it feels like they were like, no, quickly chuck the belt on Willow because we want Mercedes to take it from
she
her.
Was injured as well.
Yeah.
Julia was injured, so.
Fair enough. But yeah, again, for me, the only thing I felt disappointed was with her short run. That's not to say that Willow didn't smash it when she did have the belt, and the rivalry between her and Mercedes was hot, so it's not like it wasn't an interesting match anyway to see it. You could tell that they worked well together, and it's great just to see like Mercedes come into this new company and still excel and show off why she should be called the CEO.
Yeah, I think without that, and Jaxie, I think Gina makes a great point. With Monet now, whether it will be like a connection with like the elite to actually be like a CEO or just have like this unbelievable run, we kind of want her to do this now rather than kind of be like Saraya or someone like that. Do you know what I mean? This needs to be kind of adding to a legacy rather than her just kind of being there, just, collecting a check or whatever it is.
Definitely. I think there was a lot of speculation as to why she was already being given just sort of this instant opportunity in the first place. And I have to agree with Monty here in the sense of, she did deserve it. When she got in the ring, she kind of really showed she might have been off for this long, but this is why people really are like sort of chanting her name, making herself known. But I feel like with what was coming, like with Krista and Stokely, there was a lot going on. I feel like there was you can place blame as to why Krista lost. In that aspect, why Willow lost because of Chris Stat, sorry, as well. And I think that there's a lot more that will be at play. I do agree with my sister in terms of I feel like Willow could have had a longer run, and it's quite disappointing. I know they wanted to do this match instantly with Mercedes and Willow, given what had taken place when they had last been in the match, and that builds the momentum and everything. So I understand it. I just feel like it's a circumstance of timing, because if that was the case, they really should have tried to put the belt on Willow a little sooner than before, having Julia just injured. So I think it was all down to sort of circumstance and timing of injuries and things, as to why they had to sort of maybe speed the storyline and the transition up a bit more. That being said, this was a great match, and I agree with Monty. I think that Willow and Mercedes work really well together. I would like to see them revisit this ongoing feud with each other. But when that will be, I don't know, because we kind of we do need to kind of have Willow focus now primarily on everything to do with Chris Statlander, especially because Chris has also been getting involved with Orange Cassidy and Trent's feud, and that seems to still be ongoing, so we'll have to see.
Yeah, without doubt. I will say Willow looked beautiful as well. Scores out of 5 for that one. Monty, what would you give it?
It was one of the strongest matches of the night, man. Give it 4.5 overall. Good, really, really good wrestling. Like I said, the worst part had nothing to do with the two main focuses of the match. Like the worst parts was basically the shenanigans. So yeah.
Gina?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with Monty. This was so good, this match, and I'm so happy with the time that they allocated for them to have this. And seeing as it was one of 3 main events, I would definitely say it was worth the, like, being given a main event tag. So I'll give it. Do you know what? I'll give it a 4 3/4.
Jaxie?
Yeah, I'll give it a 4 3/4 as well. Really enjoyed this match. It does build more of a story after as well, so that's why I'm kind of rating it high, so that something else is coming out of it. But I'm excited to see what's to come for Mercedes as the TBS champion. See what she could do with that women's division, and see what type of run she's going to have with it. So only thing you can think of is positive things with Mercedes as champ.
Yeah, right. I'll give it 4 3/4 as well. Predictions, you went Monet, so Monty June on 6, Jaxie James on 7. Second main event, Swerve Strickland versus Christian Cage for the AW World title. And Strickland had an entrance inspired by the movie The Warriors. His gear was even clearly a reference to the cult classic. Prince Nana, Killswitch and the Waynes were all ringside for this match. They were slow to make contact, but once they locked up, they were vigorously fighting to see who could take control. And he ended up making a clean break and locking up again after coming to stalemate. They took a different approach than a lot of the matches we saw on the show. They took the time and spent a lot of time taunting and sizing each other up. Swerve, of course, was his usual impressive self, but this was a reminder that Cage, at 50 years old, is still capable of putting on fantastic performances. The ref was tricked into ejecting Nana from ringside. Nick and Killswitch attacked Swerve. The ref eventually wised up and ejected the entire group. The Mogul tried to use steel steps to his advantage, but ended up being sent into them by Cage. Nick returned and hit a cut before the ref's back. Banana chased him through the crowd with a pipe. And after several false finishes, Strickland hit the Swerve Stomp, followed by the house call for the win. Gina, what were your thoughts on this? Christian really is the perfect father.
I mean, he is. I wish he was mine. Kidding. That was sarcasm, people. Yeah, no, I definitely enjoyed this match. I think Swerve is just great and gifted at being able to work with multiple people and really building the tension between them as well. I definitely feel like when I thought of this match leading up to it, I kind of thought, Christian definitely hasn't done enough to warrant winning this match off of Swerve. But then when you think about Christian's little family, you're like, actually, crap. Is he going to snatch this away and do Swerve dirty like this? So again, it's just the match itself was great as well. I think they both work well with each other. I think Christian still is just showing the variety that he can give at the age that he's got. And again, I don't know how else to explain it. It just feels a little more different than the way Adam Copeland is doing things. In my eyes, I feel like he's still putting over the younger talent. Whereas for me, I feel like Adam Copeland will let them have a punch or two or let them do one great high spot and then it's back to him being in charge sort of thing. I don't know. I just get different vibes. It's not that I don't like Adam Copeland again. Let me just clarify this. I do. I really am enjoying seeing him, but I just feel that Christian does put more people over, and that's what he did with Swerve here.
Yeah, but there's an argument as well, because when Christian took a bump off the, I think the house call from the spear, I think that bump was more impactful than when Adam Copeland tried to jump off the top of the cage. Maybe that just shows both of them as workers.
Yeah, exactly.
Jaxie, Swerve's first defence, not a main event though, and the crowd did seem a bit tired. Is that worrying, or do you think, Swerve can not rebound? Because again, this was a good matchup, wasn't it?
Well, I mean, I don't think that they were quiet, but I do think that they were quieter than like previous matches, and I do think that is down to sort of like the number of matches. There were a couple on there that probably didn't really need to be on this. Could have made it a bit shorter, and that probably could have impacted this event a lot more in a more hyper type of way. but that being said, I thought this was a great match between both Swerve and Christian. There was a lot of undermining tactics that I've talked about before, that both Swerve and Christian have done in heel runs. So there was this aspect of thinking, like, how much is Swerve going to let Christian get under his skin? Also, sort of like the number of interferences that would usually take place. So I still think that this match overall was a really good match. Obviously, given what match did take the main event, I guess you could say that you can understand why they made that the main event over Swerve's
I mean, it's
match.
difficult, isn't it? But
yeah,
it's a shame that they
'cause-
can't start with like Swerve or something like that. Like, you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
well, like, do you know what? I actually thought to myself, because I kind of like, as soon as this match was done, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of had forgotten that we still had that match to go, because this felt like it should have been the main event, like, like ending after that. So I think personally, you could have even argued getting away with actually having the stadium match, like the very first match.
Or something like that, especially with kind of like the barbed wire.
It just felt like this should have been the main one.
One thing that got me, and I should say, Christian dyeing. I don't know if Christian is dyeing his moustache, but it looked blonder than ever. And again, I don't know if it's just the thing I noticed or whether it was.
I couldn't put my finger on it, right? But I kept on saying, like, is there something different with Christian? I couldn't work out why he looked different. Is it the beard?
I don't know. I don't know if he dyed it or whatever it was, or if he did something like that. But maybe Monty can tell us, because again, Monty, we're going to talk about Christian. Obviously, when will he get his due as the performer that he is? But the other thing I love about AEW is Swerve celebrating with Mayweather and Q from Impractical Jokers. Only in AEW.
What do they have in common? Like Q, by the way. We know. I get the Mayweather thing, the money team. I get that.
He's on the same network. Is that the?
There you go. Yeah. Anyway, no, it was cool. Again, this is a good match. I respect both guys. I've always been a big fan of Christian, like you mentioned. I'm glad you mentioned when will he get his due. It's a shame to me that a guy as good as him has to do this AEW run to kind of start getting a lot of people to understand. I know a lot of people have always kind of beat that drum that Christian should be in the Hall of Fame, just like Ed. And I think we all know that. But, like, it's to the point now to where he's so overdue that I think I've heard him say it himself, like he don't care or even want it at this point. And I'm just like, that's crazy to me that for whatever reason the old man didn't like Christian. You could think Edge is supposed to be the bigger star. That's fine. A lot of tag teams, we know that. That's just how it works. Tag team kind of break out that way. But to kind of hold someone back or hold someone who's deserving out of the Hall of Fame just because you may not like him as much. And I'm not saying that's what's going on now. I just can.
No, but I truly believe. I don't think he looked of him. Like, that was
right. He literally would talk.
Exactly.
Said to him, literally, the old man literally did not like how Christian looked, and that's pretty much it. And like he's talked about it as time, like why he left the first time was because he had a title match with Cena, and he added Jericho in it to make a triple threat match because he just Christian was offended. Like, you don't believe that I can go out there and give a believable or good one-on-one match. And again, it's kind of crazy to me how now if you look at where Christian is at and you just look at how good he really is, he's always been this good, guys. Like I think he's taking it to another level. Don't get me wrong. For someone, especially for someone
like the Randy Orton feud.
He's always been top-notch quality.
Yeah.
Like the quality has always been there, in my opinion, for Christian. Whether it came from character work or whether it comes from what he does in the ring. So I'm really happy, like you mentioned, that he's finally starting to get those flowers and get that recognition for just being so good. And I think my biggest difference between what Adam does and what Christian has done so far is Christian has had the benefit of letting the character work explain why he's doing what he's doing with these young talent. And I'm not trying to say Adam as a character is boring or bland, but so far you only really get the open challenges and you just get, all right, someone attacks Adam, so now he's mad, so let's just retaliate type of deal. Instead of Like with Christian, we get entirely new side of Christian Cage, this father figure thing, this thing he's latched on to attack everybody that he goes against below the belt. Where it feels like, and with Adam, what is the main difference between what you see from Adam in AEW and what he was as Edge towards the end of his run? Like, tell me what's the main difference? Can anyone give me a big difference between those guys, or give me a character
Edge.
trait?
That's
exactly. That's the biggest difference. The only big difference is he goes by his real name now. Like, you can't give me one character trait that latches you to an Adam, and I think that's what kind of takes it away. That all right, now you don't have that to latch on to, and the young guy he's working with that you can see who can really benefit from a victory loses. So now you're just even more frustrated. Even though, again, I'm like you guys, I love Adam, but I'm just saying that's the difference in my opinion from the Christian, because even with Christian doing these promos, killing them on the mic, breaking down their character or talking about personal stuff, in the end, you get those great zingers from him, great heel work, and then at the end of it all, the babyface usually prevails, and Christian still looks great, proves that he can still go, and the guy on the other side still looks good. That's why at first, like you mentioned, I didn't know if Christian deserved this when they kind of announced it so far ahead of the situation, but Christian, like he always does, when you just give him time, give him a chance to tell a story, he's going to expertly put it together. And I thought this was a great example of it. Again, as great as Swerve was, you couldn't come away from this match and be like, damn, man, Christian is still so good.
Yeah, and even to use, when Swerve beat up Nick Wayne last year, and to use that as a story kind of going forward is still really good stuff. So out of 5, Glenn, Gina, what would you give it?
Yeah, I mean, again, this match was great for me, so I'm gonna give it a 4.5.
Jaxie?
Yeah, I'm gonna give this a 4 3/4. I enjoyed this match a lot.
Monty?
I'll give it 4.5.
And I'm gonna give it 4.5 as well. Predictions, Monty. Predictions, you're meant to Swerve. So Monty, Gina on 7. Jaxie and I on 8. And in the main event, Anarchy in the Arena, the Elite versus Team AEW. There's Jack Perry, Kazuchika Okada, Nicholas and Matthew Jackson made their entrances. Dax Harwood, Cash Wheeler, Brian Danielson, Darby Allin attacked them to get the action underway immediately. Matthew grabbed a mic and made a production truck play the Bucks music as they fought, but Danielson put a stop to that by having them play the final countdown. The song played for a long time as all 8 men battled around the arena, and AEW showed the various pairs in the 4-way split screen at different times so we could follow all the mayhem. The crowd was singing and cheering. After the song stopped, the crowd shouted, "We want music." But trying to summarise everything that we saw would be impossible, but here we go with some notes. Darby Allin had the mask on because his nose was still broken from being hit by a bus. Harwood looked like he was busted open by a beer can thrown by a fan. The Bucks put Allin on the entrance elevator, had him lowered down. At one point, Perry appeared to run over Allin with a truck outside the arena. That's how crazy AEW tried to make this. As Perry was coming back, he grabbed Tony Khan and tried to drag him to the ring. Allin showed up with a flamethrower and lit the former Jungle Boy on fire. He was quickly extinguished, but it's still a wild moment to witness. But that wasn't the end. They carried on for about another 20 minutes. Allin was tied to a cable from the rafters. Harwood was hit with an exploding chair, and the Bucks used shoes covered in tacks to kick Allin in the face. And he was hung up like a piñata. Danielson had one last rally, and in return for being set ablaze, Perry hit Danielson with a running knee for the pin and the win. Jaxie, where do we start here? What are your thoughts on this mental main event?
It was just it was quite a lot to like try and digest, and I kind of like figure out what was going on. I think that there was a lot of hype moments, especially for Jack Perry and Okada. But yeah, it was rather messy at stages. Like, I didn't really know where to look, and I feel like the commentators were really trying to do their best with just like keeping us updated with what was actually going on. So yeah, this was good. It was chaos, and so, like, for a crowd to be so quiet beforehand and then like This went from 1 to 100 real quick, you know.
Yeah, right. I will say, well done AEW with Darby diving as the chorus hit, and also the four-way screen to kind of get it on. But
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
you know, like you said, there was so much. I mean, Monty with this as well. You only expect kind of carnage, and the thing is, they tried to deliver this, and Jack Perry. Look, I mean, I know he got set on fire, but to get that victory kind of shows, you know, where the Elite are going, and this is kind of what we expected, you know, and it's crazy.
Yeah, it was absolute, like you said, insanity. The thing is like, how do you one up last year's, and then if you just like in general, how do you do any better, or how do you keep this concept going and keep it fresh? And I think that's probably my biggest issue with it, because again, it's like Jackson just pointed out, keeping up with this match at times, it's just like all of them pretty much at times, it's just like, what the hell? Like you just lost. You're just looking everywhere. But at every turn, it is anarchy. It is chaos, and I think that's the point of the match. So I don't really have a problem with it from that standpoint. It's just like, again, if this ain't your cup of tea, I don't think this match was gonna make it your cup of tea. I don't think they did anything so crazy that's gonna make it anything special. And I do think when a guy gets set on
I
fire,
don't like hardcore matches until that chap got hit by the car, and then
right, like, oh my god, like, yeah, you hate when they bring out thumbtacks when a guy gets set on fire, just really get you going, huh? So like, yeah, like, no. So if you don't like this style, you're just not really gonna. It's not gonna. Just never gonna work for you. This stipulation is always gonna make you mad. And I saw some people. It's always a think piece every time AEW does something, you know, with the flamethrower. Even though it looked very safe, people put it out as pretty much as soon as it was lit. I saw people talking about how, like, oh my god, there's nothing but glorified stunt actors and whatever, and it's just like,
You know,
whatever,
even
man.
I was like, oh my god, I bet you Jack Perry that came up with this idea with the flamethrower and was exactly like, do you know what? Fuck you, punk. What do you think of this then?
Right, yeah.
real glass.
Yeah.
What about real
Well,
fire?
what do you think now?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Cry Me a
Right,
River.
right. What do you
But
think?
again,
Exactly.
speaking about Cry Me a River, Gina, it did look like Jack Perry was dunked in one. And again, I know we've had a go at AEW, but tonight, but he was very well prepared to be set on fire.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, again, I wouldn't put it past him to be the one to actually have suggested it and been like, do you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to go one step further. I'm going to get set on fire. I can totally just see it. So, yeah, it doesn't surprise me. And I'm not going to be mad at it, though, because, again, it was, you know, it had its dramatic effect. But, again, was it a dramatic effect or was it a messy effect? So you can argue both.
Right, so scores for the main event out of 5. Jaxie, what would you give it?
I didn't mind this, but just like Monty said, I think like there's like a level of preference that everyone has to their own type of matches. This for me just felt a bit too much, and I kind of struggled to keep up. So I'm gonna stick with a 4. This was all right. I just felt like it was just a lot going on, and this isn't my favorite type of match that AEW do.
Yeah, Monty.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Also, just knowing that Okada had something to do with this is very hilarious to me, because this is so far removed.
He was
so far removed from what he usually is about. But yeah, you're right. He really had fun. But I give it a 4 too, but not just because I didn't really care for it or like it was too much, but also you set somebody on fire, you do the insanity that they did in this match, and then it finishes with a running knee.
That's what I'm saying. Like the fire spot should have been right towards it, as in you don't carry on. Even the crowd afterwards was like, it doesn't matter. We just seen someone set on fire. Like, how can you possibly top that?
Right.
Gina, what about you?
Sorry, who are you asking?
You, Gina. Give me your fucking score.
I didn't even hear you.
It's been a long
Okay,
show,
so
all right? It's been a long show.
Yourself.
We all want to go
home. When you said my name, you should just make sure that your people can hear you.
I'm not.
Anyway.
I'm sorry.
I agree. The thing is, I don't think it was a bad match. I think it was very entertaining, but I have seen better Anarchy in the arena matches, so I'll give it a 4.
I'm not having a go at you. I'm having a go at Tony Khan for doing 30 match cards. All right, that's my problem.
Yeah, you
I'm gonna
better.
go 4.5. All right, 4.5. Predictions. All went to the elite. So final scores means Monty, Gina on 8, Jaxie and James on 9. So Jaxie, you got the win, but you shared it with me. That must
Why
make you
can't
feel
you?
good.
No, but why can't you just let me have one for once, James? Fuck's sake, you always try and take the limelight. Just fuck off for once.
Because I'm the prediction king. All
No,
right.
no, you're not.
That's
No, you're not. Clearly, I am the AEW queen. I absolutely proved that. So, next time I will take that AEW win by myself solo. This is
We'll
just
see
a
what
start.
happens. We shall see what
Yeah,
happens.
we shall
AEW.
see about that.
We shall, shan't we? We
We
shall.
shall see.
Yes, we shall. AEW pay-per-view league. James and Jaxie on 2, Gina on 1, Monty on 0. But I guess Monty don't really care as long as like the bonus league and WWE still going to right.
Right on the nose, my brother. I mean, I might
Speaking
want
of-
to win the next one, but who cares?
Well, speaking of which,
Yeah,
next
spoiler
predictions
alert,
are
you're not winning that,
Battleground.
Monty. I'm going to be winning it solo.
Well, Jaxie and Gina, you need to send Battleground predictions because that is on in a couple hours. If you
Yes,
don't
I
send them,
actually wrote them out. I've written
Yes,
them
I
out.
bet you
I
have.
just need to.
I'm sure you
Yeah,
have.
okay.
Yeah.
I'll
Send
get
them
them
after
sent
this.
to you soon.
I'll send them
Well,
straight
anyways,
after this.
Cool. So anyway, this card, as it was, match of the night for me and Gina was Willow versus Monet. Monty, I'm pretty sure you had a few matches, but what's your match of the night?
You can throw me in there. What you got?
Yeah, Willow. That's cool. And Jaxie?
Yeah, exactly the same. I'd go with them too.
Jaxie goes Willow. So we've got MVP of the night. My MVP of the night is Darby Allin. Not many can be picked up in a piñata and kicked in the face like him. And again, he recovered quicker than most wrestlers, by getting hit by a bus. Gina, what about you for MVP?
I'm gonna go Swerve.
Gonna go Swerve. Monty?
Bro literally got hit by a bus, too. I'm going Mercedes. Great debut. Love you.
Jaxie?
I too went Mercedes.
Monet. And then finally, Jaxie starts off. What's your score for this out of 10?
Do you know what? Like, when you think of it as a whole, there was like some great outcomes, some great story building, and things like that. I'm gonna give it an 8. I'm being fair to it here, so.
Give it an 8. Gina, what would you score it?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna give it an 8 as well.
An 8. Monty?
Yeah, overall, definitely an 8.
Yeah, I'm going to give it an 8.5. But if you want to know what my issues with this pay-per-view were, go back and listen to any AEW pay-per-view I've ever watched. So 8.5 for me. Dynamite notes. Mercedes kicked off the show with balloons in the ring to celebrate. She then had a match with Sky Blue, beating her later on. Swerve beat Killswitch. And also the Casino Gauntlet match for a number one contendership to face the champion at Forbidden Door. And it was Will Ospreay pinning Orange Cassidy. Jaxie, I'll ask you this. Was it the right decision for Will Ospreay just after winning a title become number one contender to Swerve's title?
I have questioned this because I wouldn't have booked a match of this caliber this quickly, because you kind of don't want to see a loser at this moment in time. I think that Swerve is too hot right now, but also you just put a freaking belt on Will Ospreay. So was there any need?
No, there wasn't.
No. I don't think. I think that this match is actually happening way too quickly, and most likely is going to be interrupted and end in a DQ to save both men. That's what I think.
Yeah. Well, I also should say finally on Collision, Ospreay had a bang up with O'Reilly, and you won't believe this, but Kyle O'Reilly lost. So that is it. Like I said, the next AEW show will be Forbidden Door, and Jaxie has promised a victory outright. Everybody's heard that. But don't forget, across all social media, Twitter at the WNR Podcast, I'm at WNR, and I can find the entire WNR team on the Twitter banner. Jaxie, where can people find and listen to you or even follow you?
So I'm across both Instagram, X, and Twitch at Jaxie Scarlett.
Monty, what about you?
At Mind Monty Pod. Type in Mind and Monty wherever you listen to podcasts.
And finally, Gina.
Yeah, you can find me on Twitter or X and Instagram and Twitch, all at Purple Pain.
And the WNR also on Facebook and Instagram. Across all Google platforms, send us an email to WNRpodcast@gmail.com. And YouTube, the podcast with all latest clips and podcasts got at the same time on YouTube to do SoundCloud on your phone. Also Spotify and iTunes where you can download, subscribe, rate and review there. That's it. Next episode is NXT Battleground, which is next weekend. And we've got the Clash at the Castle, or in the Castle, in 2 weeks' time. But until then, I've been James Ryan, and I was joined by the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. Well done, Jaxie, on your win tonight.
Yep, it's a great victory, one that I will be continuing on in the next one. Thanks for listening to us all, guys.
And, of course, the mind of Monty. And Monty, next week, not only do we catch up with NXT, but I don't think in the 3 years we've been doing the update, we've been so different with predictions for a takeover.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. One of us is going to be depressed. One of us is going to be a little happy. So, tune in.
And, of course, the genius of Gina. And, Gina, do me a favour. Make sure you beat Jaxie at the Clash.
Oh my gosh, I'm going to try and beat all of you at the Clash, but no, that's cool. I will do my
best. What she gets like. You know what she's like. That's what I'm just saying. Anyway, that's it. Thanks for listening, everybody. Bye.